What are the best games ever made? That is the question I'm going to be answering today. Well, not really, but I am going to tell you guys my top 5 favourite indie games. And maybe some bonus top 5s as well if you guys stick around until the end of the video. Anyways, let's get into this. Indie games. They're some of the best games ever, even compared to AAA titles or massive budget blockbuster games. My favourite game of all time is an indie game. So yeah, indie games are amazing. They're sometimes cozy, sometimes terrifying, and sometimes absolutely absurd. But the one thing they all have in common is that they are made by a very small group of people and usually don't have a very big budget at all. But somehow, they still seem to be some of the greatest games ever. So I wanted to come on here and tell you guys my top 5 indie games. So let's get right into this. First of all, I have 3 honourable mentions. The first game I need to mention is Animal Well. This game would easily be number 3 in my ranking, but sadly I don't own this game anymore, so I couldn't record any footage for it. But I had to mention it. The other 2 games I want to mention are Inscription and Balatro. Both of these games are so amazing, but barely miss the top 5. Balatro is a poker type game, but it goes so deep and it genuinely is a masterclass of gaming in general. Inscription, on the other hand, has an amazing story and awesome gameplay that changes immensely throughout your time with the game. It literally changes genres like 3 times. The final game I want to mention is Nine Souls. I've never played this game, but I've heard so many great things about it, and I'm planning on playing it very, very soon. Anyways, now for the official top 5. Coming in at number 5, we have Axiom Verge. This game I played for the first time on my Switch a couple of years ago, but I recently replayed it and got reminded of the absolute masterpiece this game is. I won't go too deep into the game's ins and outs, but the pixelated art style mixed with the deep red and blue colour palette for most of the game makes for a beautiful looking game, and the gameplay only makes the experience better. I love the progression in this game, and it's so cool getting new weapons as upgrades so you can choose what fits your gameplay style the most. Now for my number 4 top indie game. It's the one and only Cuphead, the greatest boss rush game ever made. This game is so special for so many different reasons. The difficulty is one of them. It makes the experience a full-on journey. You get shoved into the ground over and over and over again by some of the hardest bosses in gaming. And then when you finally succeed, you feel a great sense of accomplishment, like you finally reached the top of the mountain you've been climbing for days on end. Speaking of climbing a mountain, let's get into my 3rd favourite indie game, which is of course Celeste. Now, Celeste is a game about climbing a mountain that messes with your head and makes it as hard as possible to get to your ultimate goal, the summit. This game makes the player feel so many different emotions, good and bad. During this journey, you meet people that will encourage you and discourage you during the climb. You battle anxiety and depression among other things. In all, this game is so very human. It has human emotions weaved into the story, and in general, human nature is to fail thousands of times before succeeding. But when you do succeed, you feel so strong for overcoming the challenge. Now, on that note, we're coming up to the top 2 best indie games. My top 2 indie games are Hollow Knight and its sequel, Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, these games are some of my favourite games of all time, even outside of just indie games. But I personally prefer the original, so number 2 is Silksong. This game, man, I don't even know what to say about it, but it is near perfect. In a lot of ways, it improves on the first game, in ways such as movement with the sprint and more fluid movement in general, and the new charm system, which is now tools and crests. But in other ways, the original Hollow Knight is better, in ways such as the overall atmosphere, the music, which is actually pretty close to perfect in both games, and the insane variety in colours, NPC characters, and areas. Don't get me wrong, the NPC characters are also amazing in Silksong, as well as the colours and areas, but there is something so special and cozy about the first game that makes the sequel just a little bit worse than the first. The one other thing I need to mention are the bosses in both games. These bosses are incredible. Both games have some of the best bosses in gaming history, but personally, I overall enjoy the original's bosses slightly more. That being said, some of Silksong's bosses are just as good as a lot of the Hollow Knight bosses. And actually, my favourite boss in either of the games is the first sinner from Silksong. Well, there you have it, my top 5 indie games. What did you think? Maybe drop a comment and let me know. Now, here's what we're going to do. Let's rank those 5 games again, but in order of what game has the best starting area or starting level. Coming in at number 5, again we have Axiom Verge. The starting area for this game is pretty darn good. It conveys the scariness of the game with the blood red walls and dark backgrounds, and it introduces the basic mechanics of the game perfectly. And the boss at the end of the area is a pretty good starting boss too. Not being very hard, but hard enough to be fun. Now, for number 4, we have Cuphead. This game doesn't really have a first level per se, because there are 2 bosses that we could call a first level, or we could just use the first run and gun level. How about all of it? So, first of all, we have the 2 bosses, Goopy Legrand and Potato Guy. The Goopy fight is a great intro fight because it's not very hard and it shows off the game's ability to have bosses change phases and do different things during the fight. But that being said, the Onion Guy is a much better fight. It's slightly harder than Goopy, which makes it more fun, and it showcases the phase changes way better than Goopy. So yeah, Carrot Man is a much better fight. Now for the actual level, the run and gun. I don't have much to say about it because I personally hate the run and gun levels in this game, but this first one is definitely one of the better ones. It's a great introduction for the shooting mechanics and stuff like that. Now, coming in at number 3, we have Hollow Knight. Like I said before, this is my favourite indie game of all time. But for the first areas, we have the King's Pass and Dirtmouth, which I'm combining here because both are so small. The game starts with the knight falling from very high up, down into the King's Pass, a very small area, just to show you the basics of platforming and combat. The main challenges come later in the game, so it's really just to introduce you to the mechanics and the atmosphere of the world you've been dropped into. I think it is done exceptionally though. It's the perfect way to start someone to show just how cool this world is, and it showcases everything you need to know very well. And it has some pretty neat secrets too. But then you get to Dirtmouth. You see NPCs and a nice little town, and you hear this absolute masterpiece of a song. That being said, I still think the next game does the intro just a little bit better. Coming in at number 2 is Celeste. Man, this game is so damn good. Not as good as Hollow Knight of course, but the first level sure is. Celeste's starting prologue and starting level I'm counting as one thing. The prologue is great for the story as it shows the start of Madeline's journey up the mountain and what she goes through during it. But the main first level is genuinely almost perfect. It introduces the strawberry mechanic very well by putting them in great places, some obvious and easy to collect, and others just outside of the normal boundaries, so the player has to push them to get to the strawberries, as well as the Crystal Heart and B-side for this level. Oh, and my favourite part about this entire first level? It's the fact that it's completely possible without even using the dash, and you get a reward for it. It's actually crazy how cool that is. It must have taken people quite a while to figure out that you could even do that, and then to get rewarded for it with a golden strawberry at that is even crazier. Anyways, now let's talk about the B-side. I know this technically isn't the first level anymore, but I'm still counting it, okay? I won't say much about it, but I will say that it is the perfect amount of challenging. Shows off the base mechanics taught through the first level, but makes it slightly harder, and it's just really great. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, probably. The number 1 best indie game based on the first area or level is Hollow Knight Silksong. The Moss Grotto is genuinely the perfect start for a game like this. For one, it completely switches up from what the original game did. Instead of dark and gloomy, the Moss Grotto is bright and vibrant, and it actually has such a great vibe. The music is nice, the colours are so cozy, it really feels like you stepped into a fresh, yummy salad with how damn green it is. And the boss at the end of the area, Moss Mother, is a great starting boss for the player to get used to the mechanics of the game, such as the diagonal down slash, which is much different from the first game. Oh, and the music is goated in this area too. Well, there we have it. That's my top 5 indie games of all time, but based on the first area or level. I guess it's the end of the video then? Nah, I have some more to say. Okay, so now for this bonus stuff, I'm a rapid fire. First of all, I have my top 5 games of all time, just in general. But, it's kinda series based, but also kinda not. It's basically my top 5 series of all time, but I'm saying my favourite game from the series. You'll figure it out, it's chill. Okay, number 5 is Resident Evil 9. Call it recency bias, but I think it's my favourite Resident Evil game. It's for sure either 8 or 9. Anyways, number 4 is... See, here is the example of it being series based. I love the first Galaxy game almost just as much as the second game, but the second just edges it out. But I like both of them more than Resident Evil 9, you know? So if that makes any sense, I'm going to continue now. Coming in at number 3, we have The Last of Us Part 2. Now, this game was at one point my favourite game of all time, but other games over time edged it out. And again, I love the first game almost just as much. Okay, number 2 is God of War Ragnarok. This game is just so freaking good. The story resonated with me so much, and the damn Norse gods are so cool. Okay, and finally, my favourite game of all time is... Hollow Knight. Yes, this is my favourite indie game of all time, and my favourite game in general. It's just that good. Silksong is definitely my second favourite game of all time too, by the way. And now we have one more bonus top 5. My top 5 multiplayer games. Okay, coming in at number 5, we have Rainbow Six Siege. This game is pretty good. I have a couple hundred hours on it. Anyways, moving on. Number 4 is Dead by Daylight. I have 1,300 hours on this game. Don't play it. Ever. Anyways, number 3 is Fortnite. I probably have 3k hours on this combined from my iPad when I was a kid, to my Switch, to my PS5. Okay, now number 2 is The Finals. I've only recently gotten into this, but it's amazing and I love it. Now finally, number 1, my favourite multiplayer game is, drumroll please, Marvel Rivals. Gamer's peak, I have nothing else to say. Woo! We got through the entire video. If anyone made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and please comment any feedback you have for me. And please consider liking the video and maybe subscribing. Before you go though, I want to leave you guys to this masterpiece of a song, which is actually my favourite song in gaming history. Please enjoy.